This intro will be pretty quick. Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid and its second season, Dragon Maid S, are slice of life anime, so there's not much here in terms of story. Despite that though, there's still plenty to talk about, such as the animation and the characters in the anime, so let's do that. Now, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid was a manga that began being published in 2013, with the anime premiering in 2017, with Kyoto Animation producing it, and they did a fantastic job. At least on the animation side. I mean, look at this. It makes no sense for the animation to be this good, but it is. It looks so simple, but it's detailed enough and it's easy on the eyes. Now, if Season 1's animation was good, Season 2 upgraded. It has the same animation style, but it looks more polished and a lot more sharper compared to Season 1. Essentially, Season 1 was a lot like standard definition on an old CRT, while Season 2 upgraded to a high def TV. Objectively, Season 2 is better. The brighter colors, the more detail, a more polished character design, among other things, show it's obviously better. That said, I won't lie when I say I personally like Season 1's animation a little more. Sure, it doesn't look or feel as complete as Season 2, but I felt the silliness and the fun that the anime brought was better under the simplest of animation, like what Season 1 was. That's just my opinion though. Like I said, Season 2 in reality is actually better. Now, the animation was what compelled me to watch this, and I do think that it is the anime's best selling point. I still don't understand why the animation is this good, but I'll take it. Overall, the animation was amazing. Alright, what about the story? So it goes like this. After a very hard day at work, programmer Kobayashi decided to get really, really drunk. So much so that she misses her stop on her train and she ends up wandering across a mountain. There, she meets a full size dragon named Toru, who is from another world and has a gigantic sword piercing her. Though initially hostile, she still receives help from Kobayashi and has the sword removed. Soon after, Toru uses her magic to turn into her human form and she gets drunk with Kobayashi, where they both agree how much they hate their lives. Then Kobayashi offers Toru to live with her and become her maid. The next morning, Toru shows up at Kobayashi's front doorstep, and despite regretting the offer at first, in a moment of guilt and the fact that she'll be late to work, she allows Toru to stay. Toru then has to learn common human interaction along with the duties to become a maid. Along the way, more dragons for Toru's world begin migrating towards Kobayashi's, and they all live with their own humans. At least most of them do. As I said, there's not much of a story here. We do get some backstory over Toru and the other dragons just to have some context about their characters, but overall, it's still a slice of life, and we're just gonna sit back and watch them live their lives. The premise isn't bad though. It's interesting enough to keep you to watch, but not too complicated to keep you too involved or too focused on it. If you need a brain soothing anime to just sit back and relax you, this can be one. Now, Season 1 does introduce a lot of new characters, but even then, I don't think it's too much to deal with since it's a brief introduction and it's back to the normal, let's see how they're living their lives thing. A new character being added in every other episode can keep viewers interested enough, while Season 2 can explore more of their daily lives. And I could just talk more about what happens for each character when I talk about them, since almost every other segment in this anime has a featured character that it's focused on. Overall, I don't think it's bad by any means, and it doesn't try too hard to be something it's not. But with any slice of life anime, since the story's so limited, the characters will have to carry. And they did for the most part, so let's talk about some of them, starting with our title character, the one who unintentionally caused dragons from the other world to invade Kobayashi's. Toru entered Kobayashi's world in order to escape after a battle caused her to be injured, and she had a sword stuck piercing her when she entered Kobayashi's world. After Kobayashi pulled the sword out, she was invited to live with her and be her full-time maid. Since then, Toru has lived in this new world, developing affection towards the humans she was born to hate. In addition to that, she has also developed a very obsessive crush on Kobayashi. Now, Toru is a fun character to watch. Nothing she does is boring. Take, for example, a simple maid task of cooking. Toru has gotten better, clearly, but Kobayashi still doesn't eat her food because Toru keeps adding her tail meat in despite all the protest. But there are other things she does do outside of the maid stuff that is also entertaining. She taught a whole maid cafe spells from her world just to improve their rice. She constantly bickers with Elma in public. She will literally do superhuman stuff to stop a thief, all in public, and all among the other absurd things she does. Now, the serious moments between Toru and her father can get tense, but luckily, she gets out of it and we go back to the normal stuff. She does do some controversial things, such as the love potion incidents, which I don't think I need to tell you guys what that should be, but it's still resolved in a pretty funny way. She's also very caring towards everyone, not just Kobayashi. Like, she will help take care of Kana and be willing to help others as well. Overall, Toru is a pretty fun character to watch, and she makes this anime so much more enjoyable to watch than it should be. Next up, we have Kobayashi. Kobayashi is a programmer who is a bit of an alcoholic, and that alcoholism, after a bad day at work, caused her to meet Toru, offer her a job to be her full-time maid, and then be guilt-tripped to letting her stay. Over the course of this series, Kobayashi also has to learn how to live with the new family of dragons she inherited, along with dealing with the issues that arise because of them. Now, Kobayashi is caring and hardworking. She will be willing to pay absurd amounts to send Kana to school. Side note, how is a child's backpack almost 300 US dollars? I can't wrap my head around that. Maybe Japan's different. Anyway, hey, she'll also allow Eelu to stay with her despite the issues she initially caused, and she'll help Takia with the Kamake stuff, and there's a lot more. Now, I like Kobayashi. She obviously values the new family she inherited, and her willingness to help are things I do like. Plus, drunk Kobayashi does lead to some of the funnier moments in this anime. Not to mention, drunk Kobayashi led to all this happening in the first place. Usually, though, she's more level-headed and calm compared to others in this anime, which helps bring everything back down to earth when everything goes way too absurd, which I actually think is good. Overall, not a bad character. Okay, next up we have the child of the family with Kobayashi and Toru, Kana. Kana came up to try and get Toru back as soon as she found out that Toru began living at Kobayashi's, but because she wanted the attention of her actual parents, she pulled numerous pranks in their world, and she was eventually banished and exiled to Kobayashi's, where Kobayashi took her in. Since then, Kana's began living a more usual life of a normal human child where she goes to school, does her work, comes home, and plays with her friends. Pretty simple, right? Now, Kana is interesting to watch. She may be hundreds of years old, as all the other dragons in this anime, but she has the mental capacity and the body structure of a child, which is why she was put into elementary school. Her relationship with Saikawa is, admittedly, it is cute, and the relationship between her and Kobayashi is wholesome, to say the least. Like I said, though, this is a slice of life, so we just see things that Kana does in her life in that world. Now, even though we know she's a dragon, at certain moments we can't forget that she is, and I think that's fine. The moments we are reminded that she is a dragon, though, they're pretty fun. Recharging by plugging into an electrical socket, literally dominating the relay race during the sports festival, terrifying a New York mafia by showing up in her natural form. You get the idea. Everyone likes Kana, and it's pretty easy to see why when you watch this anime. Speaking of Saikawa, she's Kana's closest friend, despite the fact that the majority of the student body does not really like her. She was initially hostile and jealous of the attention Kana has been getting, but she eventually does become Kana's best friend, and that develops into a very open crush on her to the point she starts screaming in joy over literally any physical interaction. Now, Saikawa does have her moments. Some situations, like how she stupidly and stubbornly challenged a bunch of high school kids to play dodgeball against her, do lead to some enjoyable moments. That said, if you pay attention, most of the things that end up happening end up result in her freaking out over her feelings for Kana. She can get along with others such as Eelu and Chloe when she visited, but overall, as long as Kana is there, the simping overwhelms her and she can't do anything. Take, for example, the little adventure to go up a river she went on with Kana. Elma unknowingly exposed her dragon form, and Saikawa wanted proof by taking a picture. That said, she got distracted long enough by Kana, because Kana ran in front of the camera to distract her. And it worked, because she stalled long enough. She's not a bad character by any means, and the pairing with her Kana, like I said earlier, it is cute. But I just kind of think she's a little bland. Like I said, most things with Saikawa end up with her being excited over some physical interaction with Kana, and not much changes in between seasons. Next up, we have Luko, a dragon of the Spectator faction, where they literally do nothing but watch. Now, Luko's human form is a bit, put it mildly, and just say suggestive. Luko ends up living in a household of sages after the family's child, Shota, while attempting to conjure up a demon, accidentally summoned her because she heard the calling and didn't want that kid to deal with an actual demon. Since then, she's been unintentionally torturing the poor boy as she becomes really attached to him, and her overwhelming body and personality get the best of him. So, the fan service character is not really one I particularly enjoy watching. I think she's overbearing, and the things she does seem. Well, let's just say I might have to call the police if this was something in real life. I really don't feel like talking much about this character, so next. Okay, this is where Shota would be, but I kind of overlooked it when I was writing the script, and I messed up a bit with my timing, so I can't do a full review of him. Simply put, though, I feel sorry for him for having to deal with Lukoa. I hope he does improve, and overall, you could do worse. He's not bad. Takia is a fellow co-worker and friend of Kobayashi's, and despite what Toru initially thought, Takia is not into Kobayashi that way, so any initial resentment Toru had of him, she'd let go for the most part. Despite being level-headed and sensible in the workspace and a lot of moments outside of the office, Takia is also a huge otaku, and he's that way at home, when he gets drunk, or apparently when he's at a maid cafe. Whenever you see the glasses put on, that's otaku mode for him. Nonetheless, I don't think he's a bad character by any means. His willingness to help and his friendship with Kobayashi, later on his new roommate, shows he does care and will want to help them out as much as possible. His otaku mode does leave a lot to be desired, but since you don't see it as much, it's not that much of an issue in my opinion. Overall, not a bad character. Alright, how do I explain this character? An upright, self-entitled dragon following Toru and living Kobayashi's world? A super introverted gamer? Cringe? I have no idea. No matter what though, Fafnir was invited by Toru to visit Kobayashi's world, and after discovering games, he decided to live there full time. Freeloading at Takia's place, he has embraced the stereotypical gamer lifestyle of playing all night and not leaving the house. He also tried to release his own manga, but that didn't really work out. Now, Fafnir is alright. Embracing the otaku stuff Takia does seems awkward when he does it, but in a way, it's kind of entertaining. It's a little funny. His hostility also leads to some fun moments as well. I wish we could see a little bit more out of him, but for now, not bad. Just don't get him banned from a game online. It apparently is gonna cause humanity to just be eliminated. Toru's rival, member of the Harmony faction who opposes Toru's Chaos faction. Elma tried to drag Toru back to their world initially, but also decided to live among the humans of Kobayashi's world after she started to enjoy life there. She is particularly fond of the sweets in that world, which can make bribing her a lot easier. Now, Elma is fun to watch. Almost being the exact opposite from Toru leads to constant bickering and fighting it. You know what? Chloe can summarize it for me. Also, Elma is a little more determined than others when it comes to the workplace. Despite not knowing how to do her job initially, she learned and helped pick up the slack, which I do appreciate seeing, especially since Kobayashi had to take over the work Elma had to do because she didn't know how to do it. She can get a little carried away by her beliefs, but overall, like I said earlier, Elma is fun to watch. Whether it's her being swayed by food or losing the children of the group and ending up terrifying a bear. At the very least, it's entertaining to watch her. The latest dragon to join the Kobayashi household, Eelu came to Kobayashi's world to essentially destroy it until she was stopped by Toru with some help from Elma after she was bribed by Kobayashi. Afterwards, she met Kobayashi and ended up giving her a test. Later on, she was saved by Kobayashi and Toru, at which point Kobayashi invited her to live with them. Now, for a brief period, she was a freeloader, but eventually she got a job working at a candy shop after she simply walked in and asked the owner for a job. I can't believe it gets that easy. Now, Eelu has some of the quickest character development you could think of, and by that, I mean she was introduced, and then developed for the better within an episode and a half. From hating the humans she was born and raised to hate, to understanding she could hang out with whoever she wants, is a wake-up call that Eelu's character needed. She ended up caring and enjoying life with the humans, and you could clearly see it when she works at the candy shop, which, as I said earlier, is development that she needed and it was for the better. When she was freeloading, well, that wasn't the greatest version of Eelu. Then again, I'm pretty sure that most people, at least at some point in their lives, have gone through that phase, so I'll let it go. In short, Eelu is a pretty good addition to the cast here. Alright, this character is in here so briefly. A brief summary and review is all he gets. He's the grandson of the candy shop's owner, who's helping Eelu out until she can properly handle things on her own. He is also commonly distracted by Eelu thanks to... well, you get the idea. Now, I'm not gonna lie. He's in here so briefly that I have no idea how to judge him. He's willing to help Eelu out even in situations where it's a bit extreme, like the doll incident, which is good, but he still has no screen time. I don't know how he is in the manga, but this is all I've got so far. I know I'm missing some of the supporting cast, such as Georgie or Toru's dad, but I'm gonna stick with who's quote-unquote main here, which is the dragons and the human companions they're mainly attached to. Like I said earlier, if you just want to watch an anime to smooth your brain out for a bit and just sit back and relax, this is a good one to watch. Dragon Maid brings amazing animation and a ton of fun to the viewers who do watch it. That said, if you're not into the slice of life anime genre, you're probably still not going to enjoy this. This is still just seeing the day-to-day lives of our characters and their relationships, so if you don't like other slice of life, don't watch this either. Despite that though, for a slice of life anime, I thought it was good. And hopefully there is a season 3.